Hey guys, welcome back to another weekly recap. This is going to be week number 8 of Trading Volume Profile alongside Bookmap. So, like I said, I've been trading with Volume Profile for 2 months now, and it's actually 1 month now of trading with Bookmap as well as a necessary confluence for all my trades. So, what's crazy is since I started trading with Volume Profile, only counting the trades I actually executed in live time, I've only had 1 red week since I started 2 months ago. And I've had no red weeks since I started with Bookmap, which might give you an insight into how this week went. This is a far cry from my results trading ICT in the past. And just like last week, I did start it this week pretty rough, to say the least, even all up until Wednesday. So let's just get into the journal and I'll show you my most important trades from this week and walk you through my thought process behind each one. Okay, starting off here on Monday, my goal was to just not hesitate on trades. So there's a few trades right off the bat that were definitely valid and I ended up missing because of hesitation or not having everything analyzed correctly at that time, which is totally in my control. So that's not a great start. And then finally, after waiting for quite a while, I think 2.5 hours for a trade after missing those 2 other ones, I found this trade where price came up on Bookmap, which I don't have a picture of, unfortunately, and it just consolidated right at that Bookmap area. I didn't wait for a push away because I was just getting impatient. It was just steady there. So I entered before it pushed away at all, which is not normally what I do, and immediately it just went against me. So here's the trade here in the premium of the range in the golden zone here at value area high from yesterday. And we also have SMT right here. So a good trade if only I had that reaction at Bookmap that I wanted. So really, I should not have taken this loss, but lesson learned here. And then secondly, I actually do like this trade. This is a losing trade that I took right afterwards, but it was on the combine. So we came down into the discount of the range. We had a lot of liquidity there, SMT with ES plus the top shelf of this and current point of control. So we did have quite a few things here, probably even a fair value gap to the left here that we're bouncing out of. And you can see Bookmap, big red circle, and then it kind of stalled, went down a little bit, but started to push up. I probably entered right there, and then it just went down from there. But honestly, I would take that trade again. That's a decent trade. Moving on to Tuesday now. This was a valid trade that I was watching, but when it came up to my level on Bookmap, it kind of pushed through slightly and then rejected. I don't have a picture, unfortunately, but that's why I hesitated on this trade, and I avoided it. Still something I have to check out and work on and test out. This trade here, we came down to the discount of the range. We had SMT with ES. We were inside this high volume node, and there was lots of liquidity here on Bookmap, a lot of passive buyers. We had a good reaction on Bookmap as well at this level, but I didn't enter this trade simply because I've been on the charts for so long, at this point about 3 hours, and I think I was just scared of losing at this point. I don't know why, but I wrote in my thing, how will I ever make money if I can't even place a trade? So that has proven to be my biggest issue. I just get afraid before I take a trade because I don't want the trade to lose, and I second guess myself and I just don't take it. And I was literally about to enter this trade. I was ready to take it, and then the fear just got to me. So unfortunate. These type of things are the sort of things that keep you unprofitable when you don't take the trade that's right in front of your eyes, right? So I could be up extra 2 hours this week if it wasn't for this. Moving on to Wednesday. This might not make sense right here until I explain it, but basically this was a valid trade that was right before I usually start trading, so I just decided to journal it for review. But moving on to trade number 2 here. I literally missed this trade because I was drawing out my opening range breakout area, the 30-minute opening range. I was drawing it out and I wasn't paying attention. Totally my fault again, these things that are so avoidable. So it's just keeping them in mind now and doing everything in my power to not let them happen again in the future. So this trade here, my friend took this one because it was good. It was a valid trade. I had my Bookmap level drawn out too low. It was down here because that was the start of the Bookmap liquidity because it was quite large on Bookmap. But if I had drawn it out how I always in the past have drawn it out, right in the middle of that level on Bookmap, and I actually waited for the reaction on Bookmap instead of looking at my chart and waiting for it to hit on here, I would have taken this trade because I thought, oh, it's gone way up past my level because it came up past it and it was down here, right? So that's why I avoided this trade. My friend got in it and he won a 1 to 3 because he has different risk reward rules, but totally valid trade that was very nice indeed. And I just totally avoided it because of my mistake. Again, I just can't be making these simple mistakes. And this is the most painful trade of the week. I was absolutely crushed after this. So you guys know that I use 4-point stop, 8-point target for 1 to 2 on every trade. I entered this trade at 59, as you can see right here. the trade comes down to see this red level, 51. That's 8 points. It comes down, taps my TP, as you can see, doesn't fill me. I leave it and it goes back to stop loss. So maybe you'd say you should have went break even. Yeah, probably. Maybe when it came back down again, you definitely go break even. Sure. But in the moment, I was just like, I'd rather this just lose, honestly, than risk hitting break even, than going to TP after already being at TP. So maybe it was a little bit of greed. I don't know. But from now on, what I'm going to do after seeing this is always be on my chart, because I had to go for a minute when I was in this trade, but I'm going to be on my chart when I'm in the trade and be waiting for it to hit my TP, have my limit order here to get me out of the trade. But as soon as it hits, if it doesn't fill me, I'm going to press the close position button anyway, because you can't be throwing away. This is basically a 3R difference. It was supposed to be 2R. It went back and lost me an R. So very unfortunate. Definitely the worst part of the week. But it had to happen eventually for me to fix my rules centered around this, right? So it's fine. The trade was SMT right here. I think we're in a high volume node or a fair value gap. We have SMT again right here, and we're in the premium of the range with a lot of liquidity on Bookmap here. This is another valid trade. Looks really good on Bookmap. Comes down to this level. Big red circle. Gonna push up. We had SMT below. We're in the discount of the range, bouncing off of yesterday's value area high with the Bookmap level. Bounced off perfectly, like I showed you. But I think my issue is that I didn't see the SMT in time, which again is just my fault. I need to be paying more attention and locked in when I see potential setups forming. So yeah, totally valid trade that I could have taken and it would have won. But just again, my fault. So if you guys want to pause and read, these are the lessons that I wrote down from this day, which definitely stuck with me the rest of the week. So yeah, it could have been a much better day and a much better week so far. Even yesterday and Tuesday could have been green, but yeah, we're still improving. So let's move on to Thursday. Moving on to Thursday, this first trade right here I did not get. Came down to the golden zone with SMT, and I simply did not get this trade because I didn't realize that there were enough confluences. I guess I just got on the market 3 minutes ago, pretty much, and I guess I was not locked in enough. I did not see that there was SMT alongside of this rejection from the golden zone, basically. So yeah, that was a totally valid trade because we had Bookmap here. As you can see right here, look at that. That's a great zone, great reaction as well. Big red circle, push up, valid trade. I remember this one. This trade here, I did not get as well because it was shooting down and I had an SMT drawn out up here or something, but then it disappeared, the SMT, and I did not know if there was another SMT. I should have just trusted my gut and got in this trade at the high volume node with the SMT and the Bookmap level, which I didn't draw out here, but we can see it right here. Look at this reaction again, huge red circle, then a push up. But yeah, simply because I did not see the SMT in time, boom. So what I can do to combat that is always look for every possible SMT that could be around the area of interest, here being that high volume node. So there are ways around this, like it shouldn't keep happening. And here is the next trade. Oh, this was actually like a record breaking trade for us. So I entered this trade, thankfully, when price came up to the current value area high right at the top of this high volume node. Also inside of a fair value gap on a higher time frame, I think. We have this reaction from Bookmap. I got a pretty bad entry, honestly, but this was a record breaking trade because, as you can see from this, my entry time was at 24.7 seconds. My exit time was at 25.02 seconds. So it was less than a third of a second, which is just nuts. And that was 2R. So on my Express, about 157, I think. So great trade. I was super happy that I actually didn't hesitate too much and I pressed the button on this. Oh yeah, here's the profit from this day. Moving on to yesterday, Friday. Okay, so right here on this trade, I was actually in a call with some guys who are actually good, profitable traders who trade order flow, very, very similar to me. And one of them was just catching a bunch of dubs and calling them out, and I wasn't taking them, obviously. But on this one, I was like, I'm just going to YOLO my combine. So this guy was like, it's going up from here. And he was in the position. He said what price he was in, a bit lower than me. So I decided to full port the Elite Trader funding combine and actually hit a 1 to 5 basically, because I would have got liquidated right here probably. A 1 to 5 for over $2,000 profit, as you can see right here. So this actually brought me up above the passing level. So I'll just get this out of the way. I passed the combine and I thought that it was kind of cheap to activate, but hell no, it ain't cheap at all. It's like 150. So I will not be paying that and activating the account because it's a intra-trade trailing drawdown. So unrealized gain if it goes up 2R, comes back to loss or something, you're actually down 3R. It's so crazy. But yeah, I won't be activating this, honestly. If it was cheaper, I would have, but it's 150 USD, so I'm not doing that. If the rules were better, I definitely would have. And here we are at the next trade that I took, and I actually had a horrible entry on this trade, like super high. I should have been in about halfway down the wick. So yeah, we bounced off the top of the high volume node. We were inside this fair value gap, kind of in the discount of the range / the golden zone, depending on where you draw your range. And yeah, we had a lot of bookmap liquidity right here, as you can see, although it's pretty ugly, but we did have this reaction. So I decided to go for it, and it ended up paying off. So the thing is with this one, it came up and just tapped my TP and then started to push away, and I wasn't ready to close my position like I made my rules the other day from my lesson that I learned. So I did end up making like 1.7R on this trade instead of 2, unfortunately, but honestly, I'll take it. It's better than it tapping again and going back to stop loss. That would have been devastating, especially on a Friday. So yeah, happy about this week. And here's the stats on the Express. So as you can see here on Wednesday, this should be plus 2R, so I really should be up like 300 and something maybe. But honestly, I'll take this. A green week is a good week, so especially with a lot of lessons learned. So my final thoughts on this week. This could have been a much better week, but honestly, I'm super thankful for all the mistakes that I made with hesitating and executing in the first half. Those 3 lessons on Wednesday, I know are going to go a long way. So before Monday, 100%, I'm going to go through every single trade that I journaled this week, see when and where I went wrong, why I went wrong, so I can learn from those mistakes and become more consistent. Like I said, if I didn't make a lot of those mistakes, I'd be up so much more. And if I can do that in the long run, every week will be so much more profitable, and those extra gains will definitely compound. So that's the plan. Honestly, I'm super optimistic about the future of my trading for sure. And this gives me some calmness going on my trip in a couple weeks, because I'm confident when I come back, I'm going to be able to make consistent gains nearly every week on my Express and get myself one step closer to being a full-time trader, because that's ultimately the dream pretty much. Like these order flow traders like Carmine Rosado and stuff, making like 200K a month and everything. It's just nuts. So it's definitely very possible to just be a full-time trader. But anyways, guys, enough yapping. Have a good rest of your weekend and trading week, and I'll see you for another video next Saturday. Thanks for watching, and peace out.